Welcome, fellow bookworms, to Tibra's Den. My name is Whitney, and today I'm going to be highlighting two different authors. One I have read from before, and then they sent me their second book that came out back in June, on June 29th. And so I'm going to be talking about that book, which is called Making Sacrifices, and that is by B.C. Harris. And then I'll be also talking about Linden Falls by Joshua Hershey. So we're going to start with Making Sacrifices first. So they had originally sent me an e-copy of their first book, Conspiracy of Cats. And I really enjoyed this book and got a physical copy because I enjoyed it. I do plan on rereading this hopefully soon. Really love this one. Making Sacrifices didn't quite hit as hard as Conspiracy of Cats. It was still really good. I did give it 4 stars. It was just a little slow in the beginning, and so that's why it kind of dropped down for me. But as far as writing style, I really like the writing style of this author. I think um, it's done very well, and you can really dive into the story. You get a good picture of the characters and the atmosphere and everything like that. So in Making Sacrifices, you have Isaac, and he has these nightmares, and so he ends up writing the story under a pen name, and the story is very violent, very graphic, and he does pictures to it, and it's about this woman who was severely abused, and then she becomes like this warrior. And so it's not really about the story he wrote at all, but the story he wrote, there ends up being a body found near his childhood home, and this woman that is found looks exactly like the character from his story. And the character in the story's name is Vita. And so you have this kind of mystery. So it kind of goes back and forth between Isaac's point of view and this detective's point of view, who's investigating and trying to figure out what the connection is. And Isaac is just, he doesn't think there's a connection. The woman who was found would have been murdered when he was a child. So he's like, the detective knows that there's no way he could have done it, but she thinks that he knows something anyway. And he's like, I created this character from my dreams, like, there's no connection. But it kind of unravels, and in the end you're trying to discover what this connection is between this woman and this character that Isaac has created. Really, like I said, the first part of the book is a little bit slow. It's more about Isaac and then kind of his relationship with Daisy, and kind of building that up, and you have his brother and his brother's relationship. And so it's kind of building up, and then towards the end, you really start getting into the meat of the story, where he's, trying to figure out this connection. The detective's trying to figure out the connection. And I really like the ending of the story. You have it takes place more where he grew up, and so there's this animal thing. His father takes care of these animals, so there's horses, I think there's sheep, dogs, like, it's just the atmosphere is something. I love animals, of course, and so anytime there's animals in books, I'm like, yes. And so it's really cool, and like that kind of like wondering, like, he dreamt this woman up, like, what is that connection? That's really interesting as well, and I really like how it played out. Definitely an author that's worth checking out. Like I said, this first book, Conspiracy of Cats, is amazing, and the second book is really good as well. And so I think definitely an author you should check out. Give both books a try. There's definitely, murder mystery elements there, so it's kind of a suspense thriller type vibes, among other things. So it's really good. And like I said, the writing style, it's really easy to get into. She does create these characters that have depth, and the atmosphere of the books, both books, was 100%. So really cool author. Next, I got sent Linden Falls by Joshua Hershey. The author sent this over to me to read and review. Unfortunately, with this one, the story itself is really cool. It did get, he sent the little review, so it did get a Reader's Choice Book Award and got 5 star from them. And I can go ahead and read that for you too, because I think it was more the writing style for me than anything else. I think the story itself is really enjoyable and people would enjoy it more than I did because I just struggled with the writing. But can a young woman free her people from darkness? Um, Orphan Mabel was brought up by her grandmother Gigi in Linden, a nation cursed and shrouded by dark and evil forces. Mabel's parents died of the plague when she was a young girl, but Gigi never discussed their life or death. Mabel always thought she was different from other children and had vivid dreams she was a witch. Rumors had even spread at school that Mabel was a possessed dreamer who uses magic to enter shadows and speak with the dead. When Gigi dies, Mabel is left penniless and alone. She visits Gigi's cabin to retrieve her belongings and feels a strange presence. She spots a book that she has seen in her dream. She must open it. The book emits light and fire, and Mabel is spellbound. The book creates a cyclone, and Mabel flees the cabin by stepping through a door of fire. Mabel is chased by a serpent Lavian and a horde of dark angels. She is saved by the light angels and taken to Citadel, a fortress suspended above earth. Mabel learns from the light angels that the book has special powers, and she was chosen by the one who wrote the book to break the darkness over Linden. She learns there are 2 worlds, the world where she lives and the unseen realm that permeates the heavens and the earth. Mabel has 2 choices: to return to her own life in Linden and give up the book, or to harness the book's power and continue the path of her calling. Which path will Mabel take? Can she end the darkness that presides over Linden, and will she find out the truth about her parents and her special powers? So that's kind of the premise of the book. So you have this young girl, Mabel. She's 17, and she finds this book, and she gets, goes into the unseen and learns all this. Learns about the darkness that covers Linden, and the book, the Lavian and the Dark Angels and the Light Angels, and kind of her role in it. And then as the story progresses, she learns other things. Like she discovers more about herself as well and her history. This premise of the book is really cool. The story itself, like the author is very, very descriptive. And so, I mean, it's going to stick with me for sure. It was very descriptive. What I struggled with, it was extremely fast paced, so it jumped right in, and I need a lot of context in my books. I've DNF'd other books in the past that did the same thing, that just jumped right in and didn't really give me any context, and I struggle with that. Like I need that context because otherwise I just don't have any investment. But it is very action packed. It is very descriptive. It jumps right in. But like I said, there's no context given, so you're kind of just figuring it out as you go along. And even then, like there's limited information. Like you kind of just fill in the blanks, I guess. So that's kind of what I struggled with this book. I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. It wasn't quite a 3 star read because I really like struggled to get through it. As fast paced as it is, I should have been able to read it a lot quicker than I did. Granted, I had other things going on too, so my mind wasn't as in on reading. But even so, like the way the writing and everything, I should have finished it a lot faster. But the premise is really cool. The scenes and the description of the way it's described is really cool. It's very, very vivid. Like I said, it's just very fast paced and there's not a lot of context given. And there's a lot of different characters too. Um, a lot of names thrown around, so I had a lot of trouble keeping that straight. There is a relationship, like she kind of has a crush. There's a group that ends up coming in to help her, and she kind of has a crush on this older guy. But that came across a little creepy to me as well. Like that part I struggled with. Nothing, it is Christian fiction, so nothing happens or anything like that. But just the vibe it gave, and I might have misread or didn't catch, but I thought he was older. Like she's 17, and I thought he was like in his 30s. He's definitely was already married and everything. He's definitely older, and so to me that was a little bit crossing a line there, even though nothing happened. Like maybe it was just on her side and it was just that crush. that would have been one thing. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't like that relationship between the two. And then, like I said, with all the characters, you didn't really get a good sense of any of them. And then also, there's another character in that same group, a woman who comes in, and the relationship between those two. That character seems a little inconsistent as far as like the way she reacts and such, like the way she's presented initially and then the way she kind of reacts later, came off a little inconsistent, and the relationship between those two, like it's very kind of came across hypocritical almost, and I don't know, I didn't like that whole dynamic there either, so that kind of played into the lower rating as well because those are two of the main characters. um, but yeah, really, really cool premise, really, really cool story. If you don't mind, like jump right in, fast paced books, you probably would really, really enjoy this. So definitely worth giving it a try. It just wasn't quite for me, but I can see a lot of other people enjoying this in ways that I didn't. So, and I did get the 5 stars and such. So definitely worth a shot if you like kind of fantasy base, kind of angels and demons, Christian fiction. This would definitely be a good one to pick up and give a try. And like I said, the descriptions in here, like the very, very, very vivid and very detailed descriptions. It just, other than that, it lacked context. So, really, really cool book. But that is it. Those are the two authors I wanted to talk about today. Like I said, BC Harris has 2 books out, so definitely check those out. And then if you're interested in fantasy Christian fiction, that's very fast paced and very vividly detailed, you can definitely check out Linden Falls by Joshua Hershey. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.